On this week's episode, we are talking about New Found Glory. They were a hugely influential band in all of our backgrounds. For me personally, I knew the lyrics to Hit or Miss for years before owning any of their albums, and they've stuck with me to this day. We talk about them being considered one of the big three pop punk bands from the early 2000s alongside Blink and Green Day, but how they stuck true to their hardcore roots by helping to pioneer the easycore genre. And then we're talking about their alter ego band, the International Superheroes of Hardcore. So, like so many times we've done before, let's open this pit up for New Found Glory. What's up, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast. You got all three of us this week for the first time in a minute. So you have me, Trevor, Kyle, and Josh. How are you guys?
Doing good, man.
I'm alive.
You're alive.
March is like the best time of the year because it starts to warm up and it's March Madness starting tomorrow. So,
did you do a bracket and everything?
I don't ever do brackets because I always cheer for the underdog. Always. So doing brackets pisses me off because then when the underdog doesn't win, I get mad because I know that it sucks. So I don't ever do brackets. So no.
All right.
I just want to watch the games and I want to watch people get upset and just watch.
Do you remember either our junior or senior year when March Madness was going on and we had the class with your cousin and we just watched March Madness through the whole thing?
Yep. Yeah, and I had, because I played basketball, so I still had the weightlifting basketball period.
Yeah.
And we literally just had a projector with the games, and our coach popped a bunch of popcorn and stuff, and we were just hanging out watching them for that period. It was sick.
It was way fun.
What was the coach you had that had his son?
Emery? Coach Emery?
Coach Emery?
Yeah.
Dude, I had him as a math teacher one year, and he had a TV in there with the VCR, the old carts or whatever. And he had something recording, and we thought it'd be funny to push stop. So we pushed stop when he had left the room. And it was 20 minutes later, and he came up and looked at it and saw somebody hit stop. Dude, he got so mad. Apparently he was taping plays for the basketball team. And we screwed it up. 20 minutes gone, dude. His face was so red, and we all took a vow, we were not saying who did this.
That's awesome.
Dude, so Kyle sucked because of you.
Yeah, it was definitely my fault that team sucked.
No way. That was my sophomore year.
Oh, okay.
Been 1 year before. But you know what? It's his fault. Don't leave important things in an entire room full of 15-year-old kids and expect nothing to happen.
That's true.
That's the right way to look at it.
His fault.
What do you expect? So
we're supposed to be teaching math, not recording basketball games. You remember that one history teacher that would somehow incorporate his mountain bike videos into the end of every class?
Dude, he was the best. What was his name?
I can't remember, but he had a surfer
he had the long hair.
Yeah, he was a track coach.
He was in portables.
I feel like I can show you guys this video because it has to do with the history of mountain biking, and it's just him going over rocks and stuff.
The best part about that is most of the time the music in it was actually awesome. I remember early Rise Against being played throughout a lot of those videos. And I loved it, but the majority of the people in the class did not.
Dude, I grew up on skate videos and all that music. I could probably still sing a lot of CKY songs,
Yeah.
Just from watching skate videos.
I remember he let us watch his meniscus surgery. Apparently he was able to get the video from that and has it. So we're just watching him scope his knee and stuff. Dude, that dude was wild.
He was great. I loved his class. I had him for driver's ed too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Dude, I had that old guy for driver's ed, but I remember, in the driver's ed cars, the driver's ed teacher had a brake also.
Yeah.
Dude, I just remember I was sitting in the back seat, and whoever was driving in our group, he was telling them to stop. And those dips in the school parking lot were super deep. He's like, "You need to stop. You need to stop, dude." He slammed on the brake, and all of us just like whiplash forward. And he was like, "You need to stop, dude." I was laughing so hard.
So I had. Do you remember Coach Pierce? You don't know him, Josh, but Trevor, do you remember
Yeah.
Coach Pierce?
Yeah.
So I had Coach Pierce, and I'm like good friends with him because of all those like trips
Yeah.
and stuff the school did, and I don't know. But he was my driver's ed teacher, and so when we were at like I think it was Woods Cross High Schools where they did a lot of the driving and stuff, but like I would see how fast I could do the figure eight backwards and stuff, and I'd be like spinning out and stuff, and he'd come out and be like, "D-Hart, you dumbass, knock it off!" And like we would turn on to like the Mexican station on the radio and turn it all the way up, and then turn the car off. So the next person that gets in, it just is like blasting banda music and stuff. He used to get so mad at me, but yeah,
They all had channeled radios, and you all had to stay on the same radio station. You could always tell who wasn't on the radio because everyone would be doing the same thing, and there'd just be one car off yonder doing whatever.
yeah,
Oh,
good
man.
times, man.
That's good stuff. But I just was down in San Diego for a few days. And I was wandering Old Town, and it was reminding me of our high school trip. I actually texted you about it that
Yeah,
we did down there. But the best part about it is you walk through those shops, and there's luchador masks. And I wanted so bad
nice.
to buy luchador masks to like wear to the next show or something.
Dude. I just made my kids watch Nacho Libre.
Oh, dude,
And
so
my
good.
son loved it, dude. He was like doing the eagle jump like off the couch on his little sister for like 2 weeks straight, dude. We had to get mad at him to not do that crap, but I couldn't get like super mad at him, because it was awesome.
When I come down, can I call him Chancho?
Yeah, sure.
Call him
I found-
Chancho.
We found a movie on Amazon Prime the other day. It's not for kids, but it's called Ricky Stenicki. Have you heard of it? Dude, the whole premise is basically three friends that get together and they accidentally set a house on fire as kids. And so they wrote Ricky Stenicki on a piece of clothing and left it on the lawn. And so they call him the best friend they never had. And so their whole entire lives, anytime anything goes wrong, they blame this dude. Well, as they're older, like they get backed into a corner by their wives. They're like, we want to meet him. And so they hire John Cena as an actor to come play Ricky Stenicki. It just like gets wild. It's pretty funny though.
I'll have to
I'll
check
watch
that
it.
one
That's
out.
funny.
Yeah. Well, what news or shows or anything
So-
is coming up?
Life's Question and One Step Closer released new music, just a couple songs.
Okay.
And both those bands are so freaking good. I'm a huge Life's Question fan, and they actually just played down here last week, but they played at a house show.
So
Are we too old though to go to house shows?
No,
No?
I don't think so.
I would throw a show at my house.
Yeah, but you would throw the house at your show.
Yeah,
But I don't know if
would-
I could just
The
like
house at the
text
show?
them and be like,
Or
yo,
the
man,
house-
where's the house? And some 30-year-old show up and be like, what's up, guys? And I'm the oldest guy there by 15 years,
I don't know. Like house shows are always free, so I'd be like, oh, it's free. I'm coming.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I'm way too old to be going to a house show with a bunch of kids.
I don't think so. I
You don't
think
think
you
so?
could have gone. I mean, maybe since you don't really know anyone down there yet.
That's probably it, too. Like,
maybe that's what it is.
some random dude in the corner that no one knows. I'm just sitting there. Yeah.
Like there's some house shows up in Portland that I've seen recently that have been awesome. There's been house shows out in the Bay that were awesome. I think it probably just depends on the setting and how that's.
Yeah, they look sweet. I just don't know if.
Because a house show up here was always like, just like you and your friends at like your friend's parents' house when they weren't there,
Unfinished basement.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how would you have felt as like a 15-year-old looking back and there's like a 35-year-old just randomly standing in the back? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. I just don't know that I could bring myself to a house show.
I would just think you were the chaperone.
They're right. There you
Yeah,
go.
it's my house.
Well, I don't know. It goes back to that same thing, like that house show, the house that they always used in New Jersey for Thursday when like band members would come up and they're paying. It was Armor for Sleep. It was like coming up paying some 15-year-old kid to get in, and they're like in their mid-20s. Like it was weird, but
Yeah, I don't know that you can do that anymore, though. You know.
you're probably right on that one.
You know, rolling up in your van.
Yeah, right. Taking out, bringing the leftover Halloween candy for kids or something. You know.
Put free hardcore albums on the side.
Dude, yeah, I don't know. I think if it's like a what band is playing?
It was
Yeah.
Life's Question.
Life's Question. Well, how old's
Yeah.
Life's Question?
I don't know.
So maybe you could actually bond with them more because you're going to be as old as they are.
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like if it's a promoted show, like on their page and stuff like that, it's a little bit more valid. If it's like you're stalking some 15-year-old's Instagram, like then yeah, probably don't go roll it up.
How close is it to a Chuck E. Cheese?
I mean, it's Texas, so it's probably pretty close.
Yeah,
Either
you're probably
there or
screwed.
Grill. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about that because I was like, man, I really want to see Last Question, but I don't want to be the creeper at a house show. So,
Yeah, I don't know. That is an interesting question.
anyways, back to new music. What do you guys have? That is Life's Question. How old can you be without being a creep at a house show? You know, what's the cutoff?
There you go. We'll throw that out there. But I sent this to you guys earlier. It's Danny Diablo's new band. So ex Hatebreed, ex Madball, Smoke, AXD. I think
Smoke All Day.
All Day. Yeah. So, did you guys listen to that?
Yeah, I did.
I did.
It's
And
cool.
oh,
It's just Hatebreed with
Uh-huh.
Danny
Yeah.
vocals.
yeah.
Have you ever listened to Scarhead
I've heard like one or two songs.
or Crown of Thorns?
The only reason I know Danny Diablo is because of his trap beef. Like that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
only reason I really know who Danny Diablo is.
Because of his what?
He got into it with trap.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was all over Twitter, and like it. I don't know like how bad it got, but like there were venues that were dropping Trapped on their tour. Like nope. And it actually wasn't. It didn't even start from Danny. It started with I can't remember his name. It started with somebody else, and then Danny like
He like
started tweeting
interjected
back,
himself.
and then he went
Yeah.
after him and was like, "All right, cool. You let me know."
Yeah.
But you could look it up for yourself. That dude's got a massive rap sheet of being insane.
I'm sure.
So he's just an old New York guy, but he's super cool. I met him once back in Philadelphia, and then I met him again here in Salt Lake when they came through with Crown of Thorns, Agnostic
sweet.
Front, and Sick of It All.
That's
So,
a sick show.
Yeah.
That's dope.
but yeah, I like those two songs.
I'll be interested to see what else comes from it.
I like that. I guess the new term, because metalcore sucks now, is just they're calling it metallic hardcore because you kind of get that feel with this. I'm down with that. I liked it. It's cool.
Gotcha. And then shows that popped up. So Day to Remember going on tour. How do you guys feel about this? So it's a Day to Remember, 4 years strong, the story so far, but then Scal, Military Gun, and Pain of Truth are supporting acts at different times.
Mm-hmm. So first of all, we're seeing that pit tickets like on the ground are like $150.
Yeah, insane. So
I'm not
stupid.
doing that because I'm not doing that. First of all, I'm not paying $150 to get kicked out when I punch someone at Pain of Truth, right?
Right.
Right.
So I'm not going to waste all that money. And I'm also not going to pay like $60 to sit on a chair and not crowd kill for Pain of Truth. You know what I mean? So it's a lose-lose. And I told my wife, I was like, I don't know. I don't think the money's worth it because it's not, that price tag is going to eliminate all the hardcore kids, right?
Yeah.
Even ones that can't afford it out of principle, you're not paying it. Like
unless Pain of Truth does what Title Fight did and just said, "We've got a guest list. Let's fill it in."
if they do that, then I'll show up. Yeah.
Because that's what happened when Title Fight came with A Day to Remember and Rise Against. They just said, "Hey, we've got a guest list," and like I kid you not, it was like over 100 people listed.
Yeah. That was
Just-
Saltaire though.
Yep.
So like Saltaire, that'd be dope. It's at freaking USANA or whatever the Mountain America thing it's called these days.
So I think so. I thought about this. I think I would much rather pay $50 at USANA than $70 at Saltaire
Okay, why?
because
'Cause you're wrong. Like,
no,
that's a
I'm
terrible
not
thing.
wrong, and here's why. If I pay $50 at USANA, I'm going to sit on the lawn and be able to see all the bands play. If I pay $70 at Saltaire, I'm going to spend the rest of the night in the parking lot, kicked out after the first couple songs.
That's what I'm saying too.
That's my reasoning.
That's valid, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. They're not doing lawn seats. They're doing pit and then just the benches. They're not doing lawn.
So what's interesting? So USANA is being run by Live Nation, or like they
Yeah.
bought out USANA. I was actually talking to my buddy today about it, and he was telling me that you can actually buy, or at the beginning of the year or sometime last year, you can buy season tickets for you at USANA.
Yeah, I have a friend that's going because of that.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't
Oh,
put a
really?
limit. They didn't put a limit on how many season tickets you could buy. So there were multiple people that bought like multiple groups, and just like it screwed a lot of crap up.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The parking they give like they have like priority parking, and then they have like the back parking. That's what makes it so hard to get in there.
Yeah. I said it when we talked about the Offspring. I don't like USANA. I'm not a fan of amphitheaters, but
The actual tour itself, too, though, like, I'm kind of torn on it because I would kill to see 4 Year Strong and the story so far, right? But that's dope. But I'm also torn by the fact that they're not playing at a venue. Like, how do you see the story so far and not stage dive? You know what I mean? It's criminal. So it's cool. The lineup is amazing, but they've ruined it. And it's a Day to Remember's fault because they think they're way bigger than, I guess they are. I don't know. But
I would imagine it all has to do with how much that tour package cost and who was willing to pick it up.
I'm sure. But
Yeah.
they're all this style of venue from what I've been able to
yeah,
tell.
no, they
They're
are because the
all
one in
like-
Dallas is the same way.
Oh, I guarantee. And maybe that was part of the package.
But that's a Day to Remember's fault because I don't think 4 Year Strong or the story so far are playing venues. I just saw 4 Year Strong like 2 years ago. They didn't play a venue like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, so it's 100% a Day to Remember. But I'm torn again because I do think it's kind of cool that they would take a band like Scowl or Painted Truth. Military Gun's huge, so that doesn't count.
Well, so this is what I was thinking about because Scout and Military Gun both got commercials, right? So they're the up and comers. Pain of Truth was the one that I saw on there. That was like, whoa,
Yeah.
like what's going on here? Everyone else to me kind of makes sense, and then you throw Pain of Truth on there. I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
Well,
but
it could be because of the story so far.
yeah, probably.
No, for sure.
But I just you're paying $150 for floor tickets. Like
No,
the fun crowd is not going to be there, right? And so
No.
like it would be cool to like go see all that because it's a stacked lineup. I like all those bands, but I also don't know if I want to deal with a crowd that's willing to pay $150 to see a Day to
Well,
Remember.
here's how I mean, if they're not doing lawn seats, it changes my mind. But this is like how I thought about it. Like, is that the setting I'd want to see those bands in? No, I never saw the story so far. I
Yeah.
like barely missed them.
You
and
didn't
they're
see that
not-
Warped Tour?
No, and they're not like an active band or like, so who knows, this is the last tour. If they're revamping up, who knows? So the chances of them touring again is probably pretty slim. But I actually thought for a second, I'm like, well, I mean, if lawn tickets say were like $50, you know, I'm like, maybe like I take me, my wife, and my daughter, right? So you'd be on the lawn, be far away, whatever, listen to some music, like hang out, whatever, and that's like how I would take that night.
I might do that. I might agree with that just because I love 4 Year. I see 4 Year pretty much anytime they come through. The story so far,
That'd be like a good introduction where you're far enough away, you're like, you know, nothing's gonna happen.
right?
But then, like I was talking to my buddy, he's like, and we agreed the downside is that it's outside. So if
Yep.
weather turns to crap like it did for the Offspring show, you're screwed.
Yep.
So yeah, I thought it was like I think it's an awesome tour lineup. I just was like, really? That's the venue?
Like straight up, they could put it at the Saltaire outdoor venue now. Like that's where the Motionless in White Knocked Loose tour came through, and it was packed.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a lot of people there, and that's like that'd be a good setting for me. It almost felt like a Warp Tour stage, you know?
Yeah, I don't know who runs the Saltaire anymore.
I have no idea.
Do they even do shows out there?
I mean, yeah, Knocked Loose and Motionless was there.
It's like random. I mean, it's obviously you're not the collective or anything anymore, but so I don't know who runs it, how you get on out there. It's weird,
Yeah,
but
I don't know. I think we need to start a petition to get the freaking thing moved. I'm so mad it's at
well, that's
USANA.
the last Warp Tour that came through here. The very last one was at USANA,
That's so bad.
and I didn't go. Like they set up stages in the parking lot, and they had the
So
main stage. Yeah, it was terrible.
yeah. The other one was the show you sent over, Hatebreed doing their 30 year
Yep.
with Carcass, Harm's Way. I can't tell who the other band on that is. I don't know.
Crypta, right?
Something like that. Yeah, I've never heard them, but the rest of
Squigglies.
the bands I've listened to.
Yeah,
What?
that
They're called
Hatebreed.
squiggly lines.
If you've never seen Hatebreed live, like Hatebreed is definitely a band you should see live. They're really
Yeah,
good.
that's probably one that I'll try to catch. I bought our Madball tickets, which, dude, so you go from USANA with the Day to Remember to Madball and Kilby Court. And for like those who obviously don't know, what is Kilby's capacity? 100, 150?
Maybe.
And they're going to push probably 250 into this thing. Like, it's going to be insane.
Yeah. So I know Kilby SO. It's not SOS. Man, I can't remember. It's ran by a different booking company. Let's put it that way. That book's there.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't doubt when they booked that. Like, let's put it at Kilby. Because last time, so Madball came through a couple years ago, and they played, I think, at the Union Event Center. I want to
Okay.
say.
That's
And
big. Yeah.
and they said anybody I talked to said that went to that show said the sound was terrible and you couldn't hear the vocals at all. So
Because it just didn't fill in. Like, that's the only time I've experienced bad sound there.
something was wrong with his mic. Like you couldn't hear him and they couldn't fix it. So he did the whole set and he basically just screamed without a mic.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, that Madball show will be cool. Yeah, this whole year is like filling up with shows left and right. I can't really keep up.
They're filling up with shows, but then I just saw the first wave of Furnace Fest, and I was like, I'm just gonna save my money and make sure I can go to that because I don't really care about anything else at this point.
I was just going to bring that one up. That thing is stacked.
It's
And
stacked,
they're
and
not done.
it's the perfect mixture of bands. It's got like cool old school metalcore bands that I was a fan of back in the day, and new hardcore bands that I'm super pumped to see, like Mind Force and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys think of Coheed being one of the headliners on it, though?
Dude, it's sick.
I'm not gonna lie. Like I love August Burns Red, Coheed, and Under Oath, but I feel like there's other bands in here that should be the headliners
Yeah,
before
probably.
them. That's where I'm kind of like, that's cool. They're all playing, but that's where they're the headliners.
I completely agree. So the fact that they did it that way, I'm going to be really curious to see like what gets played, right?
Mhm.
Like I would expect Coheed to probably play a bunch of early Coheed with this lineup, but who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was saying though. Like, that's one of the, we just brought it up about A Day to Remember. That's one of the biggest turnoffs of seeing some of these bands is the crowds that are going to be there. So to see Coheed and August Burns Red and Under Oath in a hardcore crowd is going to be a ton of fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be weird. It's going to be
So
cool.
it's going to be way cool. So
Yeah, 'cause I feel like that the headliners like could be something like Haste the Day, Poison the Well, and The Blood. But I'm also biased.
Sure.
I saw that. I'd be like, ooh.
Poison the Well and Haste the Day for sure. I don't know that the Blood's big enough.
I don't know if Ace of the Day is big enough anymore.
Yeah, maybe not anymore.
For me, it would. If I saw them like that was actually one of the bands that caught my eye. I'm like, but
Yeah.
yeah, I wish it was like more. This is what would do it for me because like they put Under Oath, right? But let's say if they put Under Oath and said like if there's like define the great line front to back, or like if it was August Burns Red and they're gonna play
Messengers.
Messengers, or like first two albums only,
Yeah.
or like
Real Seeker Messenger. Oh yeah, dude.
or if even if it was like for me, it would be like Haste the Day with original vocalist.
We'll
You know?
fight on that one because I think Pressure the Hinges.
Pressure
is
the Hinges was their best album.
You know, so that's where I'm at, or like yeah, or even if it was like Bleeding Through, and it was
Yeah.
like, you know, this era of Bleeding
Bleeding
Through.
Through
There's
is
so
one
many.
of them that could be up there. Yeah.
Bleeding Through, Comeback Kid was one that I thought. Evergreen Terrace, I think the Evergreen still has a pretty good following too. Here's the thing: there's 12 bands in that announcement that could be the headliners.
I know.
So like, it's insane,
Dude, it's stacked.
It's gonna be so sick.
So I actually, not music related, and then we'll get into the band, but I read this book buddy gave to me called, it's like the Book of Five Rings. You guys ever read that?
Is this the post that you've been doing
Yeah.
on Instagram and stuff, dude?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's called the Book of Five Rings. It's basically about like this samurai that basically explains his teachings of how to be a samurai. And it was like written back in like, I think the 1500s is what I was told. And like the first like sentence in the book is like, I have killed over 60 men in battle. And just like he has like these 5 different teachings in everything you need to know about being a warrior and why things are the way they are, and like understanding everything. But it's cool because it like translates back to like real life stuff, so you can kind of use it in like your everyday life and stuff. So it wasn't very long. It was like 100 pages, but it was pretty dope. So I just been making like samurai comments to my wife for the last like few weeks.
Can we make a Gen Z TikTok hardcore version that's like, I've crowd killed 60 men over my lifetime?
I tell her all the time when she starts struggling with something. I was like, well, what are you going to do? You're going to be the sword or the samurai?
Oh, man. I bet
So-
she loves that.
The other thing too, is Kate Middleton dead? Have you guys not have you guys not heard all these rumors?
No.
Oh well.
You know,
I guess Kate Middleton's like disappeared and hasn't been seen in like 8 months in person. And there's all these rumors about it, but it's not as fun that you guys don't know about it. Anyways, go look
That
it up,
is fun because the royal family will definitely be involved if that's
oh,
the
100%.
you know who's gonna be dead is Jake Paul after Mike Tyson kills him.
Oh yeah, dude.
You watch
Unless
the
it's
training
rigged. Yeah, here's the thing: if Jake Paul wins, if Mike Tyson loses, it's 100% rigged.
Oh, 150%.
He won't win, but I also don't think that Mike Tyson's going to knock him out just because it's rigged that way.
I don't know, dude. I think the best case scenario is Mike Tyson puts him in a coma.
I posted it the other day. Have you ever watched like the little like YouTube clip of Mike Tyson versus Peter McNeely? So it's like it's Mike Tyson's first fight right as he gets out of prison. And like, so Peter McNeely in the press conference, he was like, dude, it's so cheesy and so stupid, but he's like, get your pay-per-view and watch me wrap him up in my cocoon. And just like all this stupid shit. And then Mike Tyson gets up and goes, hey, yeah, I'm just happy to be here. He had a really cute speech. I'll see you Saturday. And like sits down and like Peter's making all this like, this is for my mother's, my grandmother's, blah, blah, blah. And they get in the ring. Peter McNeely's like jumping back and forth. And Mike Tyson's not moving. You just watch his eyes just moving back and forth, just watching him. And then within 10 seconds, Peter McNeely's down.
Dude, he's so scary.
Did you watch that? He did an interview recently where he's like crying, talking about like the man he was when he used to fight and how he's doesn't want to be that guy because it scares him because he hurt people. And I'm just sitting here like, I mean, this is recent. This is like a month ago. And I'm like, he's gonna like that's the thing about this fight is Jake Paul might think he's tough and get a good shot on Mike, and it's gonna flip a switch, and you're gonna see like old school Mike come out, and I don't know, dude. I don't know that he's gonna stop himself. So
I'm pumped for it. I'm all for it. I will pay for that fight.
I might actually watch this one. Yeah.
If you do, Josh, tell me because I'll come over and watch it with you.
Dude,
I'm not paying for it, but I'll come watch it with you.
Is it?
And
I thought you
shoot
got it
on
if
Twitter.
you have Netflix. You have to pay additional.
I guarantee you're.
I
Gonna
mean,
have to pay
you
something.
can also take to the high seas.
That
Yo ho, and
will
watch
probably
it, so.
watch on Twitter if I don't show up to someone's house.
Yeah.
So
We can talk after. There's other ways to watch it.
that's funny. All right, let's talk about this band.
let's talk about it. Okay, so we're talking Newfound Glory today, and
Is
the
it-
reason
Is it Newfound Glory or A Newfound Glory? Because
A
I'm old
Newfound
enough to remember A Newfound Glory.
I have the shirt that says "A Newfound Glory."
Yeah.
there you go. I was originally listening to them before 2000, so I listened to them while they were a Newfound Glory as well.
Yep.
But no, they are Newfound Glory now. So, but the reason I chose this band, number one, is I was traveling this weekend, and so I didn't have a ton of time. And we were talking before this, and I don't have to go and listen to their whole discography because I've listened to their whole discography 1,000 times. You know, so there was a couple albums that I had to kind of like really go focus on to form an opinion. But for the most part, any of the classics, any of the from Newfound Glory, self-titled, Sticks and Stones, to Catalyst and stuff, and then their most recent, Make the Most of It even. Like, I've listened to these guys so freaking much. So, we all started super early, but what's some of your guys' early memories of Newfound Glory? Josh, we'll go with you first.
I remember listening to these guys when I was still in elementary.
Yeah.
That local radio X96, like, always played "My Friends Over You," and I remember listening to it and like asked my mom, like, "Hey, like, I really want the CD for Christmas or my birthday or whatever," and you know, she was very like, "Well, I gotta make sure it doesn't have a parental advisory sticker on it," you know. So, props to these dudes for having a record that didn't have that on there, and so I was able to get that as a CD. And I remember I played that album front to back. I don't know how many times. I remember like I had some neighborhood friends that always made fun of me, like listening to him because like the singer always sounded like he was singing like with his nose closed.
Yeah.
You know, what's cool is like at the time, you know, I didn't really know like their involvement, you know, with like, you know, straight edge and hardcore. I didn't know anything about that. You know, to me, this was just like pop punk music that like was very in and very like attractive to your ears at the time. I remember, I want to say it was the 2001 New Year's Eve ball, and they played, and I think that was like
Okay.
the time I got to like see them live through a TV.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's a cool memory. What about you, Kyle?
I don't remember which album I had first, if it was the self-titled or the very first from the Screen to Your Stereo.
Mhm.
But I've owned every album, whether it was the self-titled or from the Screen to Your Stereo, on like till I think Radio Surgery was the last one that I bought. But I have like, we talk a lot about bands and the nostalgia, and I can remember a lot of stuff, but I don't think there's a band that I have as many memories of as a kid, because I remember the self-titled album, putting that very vividly in my room, because I had like a big boombox CD player, putting that in and getting like a water bottle or something and jumping on my bed. Because I'm like 9 years old when this album came out.
Yeah.
And I'm like jumping on my bed with the mic, like I'm singing along. And I like vividly remember that with this album. So it's like we kind of mentioned it with the Offspring. I don't think there's ever really been a time in my life that I just haven't had Newfound Glory on, you know?
Right.
It's a
Right.
constant in my house and in my life. So
Yeah. And then for me, like, I've shared this story before, but the one thing about Newfound Glory is just how catchy all their stuff is. Like we've talked about that, Josh, right? Like you've said, you hear a Newfound Glory chorus and immediately you can remember it. It's just like what it just sticks to you so well. And when we're young, we have burned CDs or we're listening to it with other people. It's not on the internet. And so if the person takes the album with them, all you're left with is this memory running through your head of this song that you loved,
Yep.
and you try to find it. Hit or miss was that song for me.
Yeah.
All I can remember is just like the needle on my record player has been wearing thin, like over and over. Like I can remember those lines, but I couldn't remember for the life of me who Newfound Glory was. And so finally, I had a cousin. It was probably 2002 because I remember when Sticks and Stones came out. I burned Sticks and Stones from him. I'm like, that's the dude. And I remembered, and I went back and I was listening to the self-titled album at that point, and then I was listening to From the Screens to Your Stereo. That Thing You Do was like one of my favorite movies growing up.
Yeah.
So I loved that song. And I think it was you, Josh, who was saying this as well. I had a burned copy, and you remember the skips.
Yep.
And so, like, my album had a weird skip at the beginning. It was that first intro, the do, but then it would go do, and then it would get into the song. And every time I listen to that song, it just like plays in my head. Like I'm waiting for the skips to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I love these guys. But just a little bit of background on them. So they started in Florida, '97, and the only lineup change they've had, minus kicking out their guitarist in 2013 because of garbage that happened.
Jacked up stuff.
Yeah, we don't need to really get into, is they switched drummers right at the beginning. Like they recorded EP, and then within like, I think they said 2 sessions after recording, they switched over to Cyrus. And since that time, they've had the exact same lineup since 98 probably, is probably when that took place, to today. And we keep talking about these bands that have the longevity without member turnover and how good they are. What made them stand out to you guys amongst all the other stuff going on? So you have Green Day, Blink-182, some of the other bands, Simple Plan's probably around right there, the starting line. Why did Newfound Glory stand out to you guys?
Well, I think it's maybe it's a biased opinion for me. I heard Newfound Glory before I ever heard the starting line. What was the other band you mentioned?
Simple Plan, Green Day, Blink.
I heard them before Simple Plan. So I like Simple Plan, but Simple Plan was too slow. Like I can listen to a song from Simple Plan, but like their record all the way through is too slow. The starting line for me is very hit and miss. They have like 1 or 2 good songs on like that on their popular record that I really like, and then the rest of it's just kind of meh. I think what stood out to me though for Newfound Glory, like hearing them just as a band, even from bands like The Offspring or Green Day, was to me like pop punk. Like it I don't know, because like Green Day's kind of poppy and punky, so it's kind of hard to like explain that difference. But to me, it's just, I don't know. I hate to say it like this, but to me, it was just this like frat boy pop punk. Like this is what you would play at like a party with your friends, or like a party you would show up to, like or like in like an American Pie movie or something like that.
Yeah,
like that's kind of what I envisioned it, because it wasn't like skateboarding music necessarily, but vocals I really attached to. I really like them. But in Newfound Glory, did open up doors to me to bands like Simple Plan, Starting Line, Saves the Day, bands like that. To be honest, if I probably would have heard Saves the Day before I would have heard Newfound Glory, it probably would have been a pretty close tie there because they're pretty interchangeable for me.
No, that's true.
So I think that like, I don't know. I felt like Blink-182 when I'm 9 years old, it wasn't music that I felt like was meant for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like my older brother was getting into Blink, because they're crass. And when you're a 15-year-old boy, like, let's be honest, you're pretty crass. So I felt like some of these bands like Blink was aimed more towards like a teenage crowd, you know? And so when I listened to Newfound Glory, I didn't feel like it was like, oh, I'm 10 years old. I shouldn't be listening to a guy talking about like effing a dog or something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what initially drew me to Newfound Glory was I could be 9 years old and listen to it and enjoy it and get into it. And like you said, Josh, it is such a great gateway band into all these other ones. And I've never been a big Blink fan. I've never been a huge Good Charlotte fan, but like, I mean, sure, I listened to them when I was younger, but I just definitely 100% gravitated more towards Newfound Glory. And maybe it was because I initially got that attraction when I was younger, and it was like, well, if I have them, why do I need any of these other ones, you know?
They gave off a lot more positive energy, I think, than those other bands. Like Good Charlotte was good, but to me, a lot of it was like emo punk.
Yeah, because Good
Yeah.
Charlotte, you had the guys like wearing makeup and crap and stuff, you know? Yeah.
You know, like Simple Plan was like good, but it always seemed like they were just upset because their girlfriend broke up with him. And then you get Newfound Glory that comes out. It's like, I don't care about it's my friends over you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I mean, they still had don't get me wrong, Newfound Glory still had super cheesy, like girl focused stuff in their songs, but it
Mhm.
never felt like emo-y. And I know that's weird to say about bands like Simple Plan, but I get what you're saying. Newfound Glory still felt fun but not like weird or cringy, you know, even though they did kind of have cringy stuff.
well, and so what's interesting, like, do you remember that record label Enterprise?
No.
Yes.
That was I think I can't remember the other guy, but it was like Dr. Dre and somebody else's collaboration came together and created
Okay.
Enterprise. And so like in the 90s there was a time where Enterprise was just signing bands that basically gave a reaction, like Marilyn Manson, 9 Inch Nails. I can't remember if No Doubt was on there, but they never had Blink-182. But my point is like Blink-182 being crass, that's what they were known for, and it was like, dude, you
Mhm.
have to listen to this, not because it's necessarily good, but it's like,
You can't
why is
believe
he
what they're
singing about
saying.
screwing
Yeah.
his dog?
Yeah.
And that's like what the goal was at that time and era. And then then you get into Newfound Glory, which was like, oh, I guess you can do pop punk, but you don't have to be like crass.
It doesn't have to be a shtick, right? There's
Right.
nothing shticky about
Well, and
Newfound Glory. It's just straight up pop punk.
well, and
you know?
here's, as being a parent now, I can put on any Newfound Glory record and I don't have to worry about it for my kids to listen to. I'll show them stuff from the Offspring, but I've got to like watch it.
Yeah.
You know, Blink-182, no.
Right.
So
Well, and even then, when Newfound Glory did something that was a shtick and funny, it's one of the greatest hardcore albums to date because the International Superheroes of Hardcore is amazing.
mhm.
So even when they are doing something for a reaction or a joke, they still do it better than everyone else does.
Mhm.
Right.
100%.
So, do you think though, because like I went on to like Reddit, I watched a bunch of like interviews and things like that were talking about the pillars of pop punk in the early 2000s, and they listed Blink-182, Green Day, and Newfound Glory as kind of like, because you had the Offspring and stuff beforehand, right? But these three are who they kind of put as the pillars. I don't feel like Newfound got as big as those other two. And maybe in the moment they did,
Yeah.
but going
'Cause-
forward, they definitely didn't.
That's fair. I do remember though when Sticks and Stones came out, man, that was like the only thing on forever.
Yeah.
Like I remember MTV. I remember watching My Friends Over You music video like a million times, you know,
Mhm.
and they were on movies and I think in the moment that's a fair thing to say, but I think I think and this is where I think I've garnered a lot of respect for New Found Glory, is they always stayed true to like who they were.
Like hardcore roots.
Yeah, because when they got famous and big, there's a couple albums that I'm not huge fans of, but they were always still them. Where I feel like Blink, they were like, well, we've made our bed. Like, this is who we are now. We're just going to keep making joke, you know, in your, like, what's the word? Like shock value pop punk.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
but New Found Glory, I felt like didn't ever have to do that. They were just like, no, we're going to stay true to what we are. And then maybe that didn't resonate as much with like pop culture as some of those other bands.
I mean, they definitely didn't get as big as the other two. If you wanted to compare, like, again, this is my opinion. If you compared the Sticks and Stones album to like American Idiot or Enema of the State, it definitely did not do as well as those two records. I like Sticks and Stones better,
Yeah.
you know, but that Blink-182 record, Enema of the State, which is the most popular driven songs, like stuff like all the small things,
Mhm.
or the Adam song, you know, or Dumpweed, just they were just so well written. They've been played for so long. But like you say, like I think New Found Glory stayed closer to their roots, because I mean, Blink-182, you know, split up for a long time, and they I know when they got back together with some of their earlier tours before they got back together this last time, they were all in their own tour buses, and they were playing like Delta Center, you know, Maverick
Yeah.
Center, these big things. Green Day was the same way. They were playing these massive crowds and stuff like that. And New Found Glory is still, we'll just go play the venue,
Yeah,
which I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
me
So,
too. Me too. I think like their peak was Catalyst, right? Because I listened to Sticks and Stones a ton. I listened to the self-titled a ton, but All Downhill from Here, that was like Sticks and Stones like put them up there, and then All Downhill was just like their golden goose, the top of the mountain for them, at least in terms of like popularity and being played. I'm not saying it's their best song,
mhm.
but in terms of like they are now where everyone wants to listen to them. They're now, like you said, on MTV. They're on all these videos and stuff going around. That's definitely like where it was at the top, I think. And it's interesting, right? So the 99 is Nothing Gold Can Stay. 2000 is self-titled. 2002, Sticks and Stones. 2004 is Catalyst. And that run right there, that is an insane run of pop punk albums.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. Then you get to 2006 and you have Coming Home.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys feel about this album?
So there's only two albums that I don't like, and then there's one album that I'm indifferent on. So Coming Home, I am indifferent on.
Okay.
I don't hate it. I don't love it. If songs pop up from that album, I'll listen to them. I don't have an issue with it, but I'm not actively looking for them.
That's
So-
how I kind of felt. I mean, it's a big change, and they've said it's a big change. They made all the effort to make this more of like a rock album, right? They got compared to The Fray, is
Yeah.
the band that they kind of compared it to. And it didn't catch. This is also the first time that Jordan and Chad are helping to write some of the lyrics, because their other guitar player was the main lyricist for those first 4 albums
Mm.
up to this point. So you start to get a change in that direction too. Josh, what do you think about this one? Is this one that you paid much attention to?
Give me the album again.
Coming Home,
Coming Home.
It's a dude holding the suitcase.
and it has the song Hold My Hand, I think was the
Oh,
major
okay.
popular one on it.
Yeah.
I don't.
Sounds like an Alkaline song.
I don't remember much of this record. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Which I think says a lot, right? You're a huge Newfound fan.
But like I also want to say too, so in 2006 I started listening to more stuff that was like the Under Oath not the Under Oath, wow. Under Oath or the Bled. So like
Right.
pop punk, like for whatever reason my brain was like, oh, that's not cool anymore. I can't like that. I gotta like, this isn't cool anymore. So I was kind of like going into like all screamo. That's like everything I listened to wanted to have some screaming.
Or the pop punk you're listening to right now is probably 4 Year Strong and Set Your Goals, which is heavier, right?
Mhm.
More easy core type stuff.
Yeah, set your goals was like the next introduction. I was like, oh, and that kind of led me back down the Newfound Glory hole, and I was like,
And
okay.
you're like, holy cow, look how much they pulled from these guys.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny, everything you read is like, yeah, they're pioneers of the easy core genre. And you don't really think of them as being pioneers of the easy core genre until you go and listen. And there's breakdowns in their songs,
Yeah.
you know, and you start to hear all of that. They just don't have the screaming on the top.
Mhm.
I mean, they're basically a hardcore band in higher tuning.
That is true.
Like, take the vocals out and just listen to the music. Like, it's hardcore music with higher tuning.
Yeah.
So,
So we go from this. They do another from the Screen Seer Stereos.
do you like their? I mean, do you like actually listen to their? What do you call
Cover
those?
albums?
Cover albums.
I love them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love them.
I actually love To the Screen, the third one.
The newest one?
That's probably my favorite one.
Okay.
Dude,
I'm like 50-50 on that one. I love Accidentally in Love. I have the kids singing Let It Go with me kind of thing. So that one's great. But their first one, man, their first one will always be my go-to.
yeah, because
I
I have the Tiger and the Power of Love.
So good.
Dude, they're both so good.
And they do the Frozen song too, right?
That's what I'm
They-
saying. Let
they
it go with the kids.
They played the Frozen song live, and it was really funny because I actually watched Ashley. She was like, "Oh!" Like,
We had to record it for the girls. That's right.
so
Yeah.
funny.
It was so great. But
But see,
yes,
that's why I like that band. Because like when we did go see them on their Six and Stones reunion tour, how many dads do you think we saw there that had their kids up like on their shoulders watching
For
them?
sure.
And they
there's
were
a
doing the same
lot.
thing when they played Frozen. A lot of the kids were singing along.
Yeah.
That is the difference, I think, with this band versus like what's his name? Is it Billy Joel from? Is that his name from
Green Day.
Green Day?
Yeah.
Throwing a fit because it only has 1 minute left, and Tom talking about sucking something, on stage. Like,
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
100% agree. Absolutely.
So the answer is yes. I actually posted this the other day on Instagram. I said, do you prefer Punk Goes Whatever or Newfound Glory? And I was actually surprised. Way more people put the Punk Goes albums
Oh, really?
than the Newfound Glory albums.
really?
So, yeah. I mean, when I say way more, we had like 15 people respond, right? So it was like, I think it
Statistics,
was like
bro.
60,
That's a good sample size.
66 to 33% or something like that,
Okay.
anyways. But no, I do. I would take the Newfound Glory cover albums over the any Punko's album.
Yeah.
So, but then you get the awesome. You've already alluded to it, Kyle. Tip of the Iceberg, and
Dude,
Taking
this-
It Over.
Tip of the Iceberg is so good. It's hands down their most underrated album. 100%. It is so Dig My Own Grave is a top tier song for them, man. It is so good.
And very specifically, after doing Coming Home and after doing From the Screen to Your Stereo, they're like, we had to remind people that we have hardcore roots.
Yeah.
Like they said that, like we've got to remind people. So this is their homage to hardcore. And then obviously doing the International Superheroes of Hardcore. Josh, you got to see the International Superheroes of Hardcore, right? Down in Vegas.
I did. Dude, so I was actually just looking that up. So I've seen Newfound Glory 4 times. So the first time I saw them, I'm pretty sure was with Set Your Goals, Shai Hulud, and Newfound
Yep.
Glory. That was the first time I saw them. And then I saw them later that year with, so this tour, it was A Day to Remember, 4 Year Strong, International Superheroes of Hardcore, and Crime in Stereo. And that was at, the House of Blues in Vegas. We drove down for it because it wasn't coming through Salt Lake.
Yeah.
And I've never seen more people get kicked out of a show in my life. Like those, dude, they were just literally just. You would see somebody get kicked out, they get thrown out the door, and they close the door. Just multiple. Yeah. So the International Superheroes Hardcore, then they came on and played on stage. I may have already talked about it in a different podcast, but you're going to hear it again. The bass player came out and was like playing, and he was headbanging so hard that his mask fell off. He didn't like know what to do, so he like grabbed a shirt and threw it over his face and ran off the stage. And like someone came and grabbed his mask, put it back on, and came back out. So I got to see them play there, and then I saw them again in 2011. That was on the Punk's Not Dead tour. That was with Set Your Goals, The Wonder Years, Man Overboard, this time next year.
Yep.
And then we just saw them recently again with 4 Years Strong for their Sticks and Stones 20th anniversary tour.
Yeah.
So, and they've been awesome every time.
Yeah.
Every time. Kyle, how many times have you seen these guys?
So I saw him once before that Shai Hulud show with my brother.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I was really young. I don't even remember who else was there. I just remember them playing. I mean, it was probably closer to when Catalyst came out.
Okay.
I can't remember the exact show, but they played most of their stuff was off of Sticks and Stones. And I remember my older brother just leaving me in the back. And I was just like a little kid by myself in the back. But yeah, and then I saw him at that Shai Hulud show, which I've talked about that show a lot. That's one of the roughest shows I've been to.
Yeah.
You know, because I was like, oh, hey, there's a 40-year-old that's freaking swinging at kids, you know?
Yep.
And it was just, whole nother level of like aggressiveness at a concert. And that opened my eyes to like, yeah, this is incredible. And then we saw him like twice at Warped Tour, didn't we?
Yeah. Saw him on Warped Tour a couple of times.
It was a couple times at Warped Tour. And then we saw him. And I know, Josh, that you've been there at Warped Tour one of the times.
It could have been. Warped Tour was just such a blur to me.
I know.
Yeah.
But I remember you and me moshing specifically to My Friends Over You.
Yeah.
What year?
One of them.
Man. Blurring. Okay, was it before your mission or after?
I think it was after.
That's not helping. That just got worse.
I know.
Actually, you know what? I think if it was a year where the Ghost Inside played like the very beginning of the morning, and like half our friends like missed it.
It might have been the one where A Day to Remember finished. But see, that would have been before. That would have been like 2009.
Right, because that was the same year Alexis on Fire played.
Dude.
They're a blur. Here's the thing. I can remember like the fights. If you told me what fight it was, I could probably tell you like what year it was, but it's possible. I remember there was one year I saw a Yellow Card, and maybe Newfound Glory played right after. I can't remember.
I don't know. But I know I've seen them a couple times at Warped Tour because I remember him coming out in his red Newfound Glory jersey.
Yeah.
And that's
which
like
I have.
Yeah, I remember that. So, and then, I saw their Sticks and Stones reunion tour. So it's been 4 or 5 times if you count Warped Tours. So
that last Warped Tour, I made fake Warped Tour badges, and everybody made fun of me like, "You're gonna get caught," and I'm like, "And then what? I'm just gonna get in line and pay." And so I printed off like these badges and went to Kinko's, had them laminated, put them on some lanyards, and I walked right in. And I didn't get caught until I tried to go backstage with Census Fail, and then I got caught.
That's great. The reason I ask is because Catalyst is doing their 20 year this year. You guys going to try to catch that one?
If it had a better opener, I think I would.
Who's opening?
But some weird
something engineer. What was the something? Sincere Engineer. Which you don't need to listen to them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they played all the songs off of that Catalyst album I wanted to hear at the Sticks and Stones.
I know.
So to me, that was a perfect show. I'm like, cool. I got to hear the favorite album, and then I got to hear all of like the like straight banger songs off the rest of the record. That's all I needed.
And it was a good lineup too. That's
Mhm.
how I feel like I want to go see Newfound Glory. I love seeing Newfound Glory. I don't know. I don't care about Sincere Engineer. They're not going to have a local. But my only thought is they're probably going to play like a 25 song set, only taking one band out.
Yeah.
It's going to be a heavy
The
dose.
thing
Well-
is, though, is like I like Catalyst, but I don't know that it's like a top album. Now, if they're playing Tip of the Iceberg, or my favorite album of theirs is Not Without a Fight.
Mhm.
If they did an anniversary of Not Without a Fight, then I'm there 100% because that's my favorite album of theirs.
And they should just do a 15-year of that one instead of
Yeah.
a 20-year of Catalyst.
That's really what they should
do.
20 years
So-
seem to be the thing right now.
I know.
I know.
The
It's
Blood
insane.
just did one. Thrice just did one. Newfound Glory just did one.
Yeah. But so Not Without a Fight is the next album, 2009. And it's funny because I was reading something with Chad Gilbert where he was talking about the albums, and he actually really dislikes this album.
That's probably why they don't play any songs off it.
I know, right? And it's so good. But he said that they put so much effort into Coming Home that when it came time for this album to come out, they didn't want to do another Coming Home record. They wanted to go back towards their pop punk roots. But he's like, I was just burnt out. He's like, I put no effort forward in writing those riffs. It was the simplest, easiest things that I could put together. And I'm like, great. The mindless pop punk is the best pop punk. Because
Yeah.
that album is awesome.
Dude, the breakdowns in like I'll Never Love Again and Truck Stop Blues. Or is
Yeah.
it Such a Mess? No, it's Such a Mess and I'll Never Love Again. Dude, I'm absolutely down for it.
Yep.
And dude,
They're
Listen
so
to Your
good.
Friends is such a good song. Such a good song.
It's such a bummer to get burnout on a record that you wanted to succeed to where you're so burnt out that you can't even focus on the next record, so you don't care. So you're like not burnt out on the record that you're writing, you're just burnt out from the record previous.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what sucks about being in and maybe this is the case, being in a label, is you are on a timeline like where it's like this is time for the next record to release. Because whether you like it or not, it's still at that point it was probably a job. It was like, yeah, you'll tour, you get to this, but you've got to release your records on time. You've got to tour. You have to do this because we've invested time into you. It's time for you to do it back. So,
And I don't know if there's a better example of a band at probably being on like a timeline, right? Their albums are all 2 to 3 years apart. They don't have any major gaps. It's just consistent.
mhm.
I think the longest gap is 3 years. I think it was 2011 was Radio Surgery, 2014 was Resurrection, 2017 is Makes Me Sick. And then it's back to 2019, they do Screens to Your Stereo, 2021, they do Forever and Ever, and then 2023, they do Make the Most of It. They are on a 2-year schedule for their albums.
This is where it's after Not Without a Fight. You can kind of hear it because Radio Surgery just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
So that album and Makes Me Sick Again or Makes Me Sick, don't like those. But
Okay.
I love Not Without a Fight. Kill It Live. The 3 songs, the actual songs, the I Want to Believe, Connect the Dots, and First Bite. Those are freaking solid songs, and they're totally skipped over because they're on this live album. But those
Yep.
are some of my like favorite songs from Newfound Glory. Resurrection is a straight banger of an album too.
Yeah.
Like that album is so good. The Vicious Love with Haley Williams, that version of the song,
Yep.
Mhm.
like incredible. The breakdowns in like Degenerate and The Worst Person, dude, it's such a good On My Own. I think On
Yeah.
My Own might have the guy from, is it Turnstile?
Resurrection has Scott Vogel from Terror.
Oh, maybe that's the one I'm getting mixed up
Yeah.
on. But dude, it's such a good album. But then after that, makes me sick again, or makes me sick. Literally makes me sick when I listen to it. Yeah, kills me.
It's just like there's times on it where it feels like Motion C soundtrack to me. It makes me sick again because you
Yeah.
start to get some synth in there, and it turns way more poppy. And you start to lose some of the hardcore influence. Is how I felt about that. I mean, Josh, where did you? I don't want to say end with these guys, but where was it like they're no longer a priority to like pick up their albums?
I think there's a huge gap for me right around. Oh, let me look. They have so many damn albums. Like I don't keep track of which is which.
Yeah,
Like I honestly want to say I think between probably right around Radio Surgery to like Forever and Ever. And it's not that like I just didn't want to listen to it anymore. I just between getting into different music and getting into, you know, life and things like that in general, I just kind of got away from them, and they weren't really touring, or if they were, they weren't really on any tours that like I wanted to go to, you know. And so I just kind of stepped away from them because I actually really liked the album, you know, Not Without a Fight. Radio Surgery was okay. I remember Resurrection coming out and kind of dabbling in it a little bit, but none of it really ever stuck. I remember my wife sending me the acoustic songs that they were releasing because I think a lot of that they were doing because what's his name had cancer.
Chad Gilbert.
Yeah, and was in and out of the hospital and like couldn't tour. And I know for a long time they said it was like gone, and then thought he was doing well, and then it came back, and they did like a huge FaceTime on while they were on stage with him,
Yeah.
so that he could like see the crowd. I thought that was super cool. But yeah, the acoustic song she sent me, and I started kind of going back through and listening to some of these other records that I wouldn't say never gave a chance. I just never listened to them because I always went back and listened to Sticks and Stones just because it's so good.
Right.
But that's probably about where I fell off, I think, is right around Without a Fight.
Okay. So Forever and Ever might have the most cheesy lyrics that New Found Glory has ever written. They
Mhm.
talk about, I think it's greatest of all time, where they talk about the 96 Bulls.
Mhm.
Like, when I heard that, when I was listening to this over the last few days, I'm like, okay, they have officially written all the lyrics for every love song that they can think of, that they have written the stupidest lyrics that can come to mind. They've run out of metaphors and analogies.
Yeah, I remember listening to Shook by a Shaved Head, and I'm like, what does it even have to do with anything? I'm sure it means something, but
Exactly. Scarier than Jason Voorhees and Campfire. Like, it got silly for me, and it got really disappointing. But I will say, make the most of it. I actually really, really like. I feel like this is probably the most honest album that they've put out since, I'd say, all the way back to Sticks and Stones. Like, the amount of emotion, what the songs were written for with Chad Gilbert, his family. I mean, one of the songs is about his wife finding him incapacitated and having to bring him back to life, essentially. So, like, it's just an incredible album. How do you guys feel about New Found Glory acoustic?
I'm about it.
Yeah, I like it. And we've said this about some of the other bands. In 2024, they've been around 30 years.
Yep.
You play the music that you want to play, dude. I don't freaking care anymore, right? Like, you do what you want, and I'm cool with it. You can make whatever album you want, and I'm not going to give you any grief because you've put more time in than any of these bands have, and you deserve to play whatever you want to play. So if it's acoustic from here on out, dude, cool. I don't care. I'm going to listen to it.
Sure. And I'm not taking a shot at him for this, but a lot of people online do not like Jordan's vocals acoustically.
It's fair. I can see why. I disagree, but I can see why.
He just got an aggressive set of vocals, I think, for an acoustic style. Because I mean, if you listen to like Dallas Green, he's almost like too soft in Alexis on Fire. It's like good, but it's like a little soft. But when you put him in City and Color, it's like,
It makes sense.
okay,
Yeah.
this works.
So it's vice versa. Is that what you're saying?
Huh?
Jordan needs to be in pop punk, and that's where he fits. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I can see that. But I love acoustic stuff, and I think that like out of the pop punk stuff, I think that Newfound does it fantastic. So I will sit there and I will sing through my nose all day long, copying Jordan. And I think that we need to start a TikTok trend of filming ourselves singing through our noses to Newfound Glory and see if we can get this thread going of everyone copying us. So that's the next TikTok thing we're going to try.
There you go.
You guys ready to sing through your noses?
Yeah, I
Josh
ain't
laughs.
getting on
making you do it. I'm making you do it. Come on, bro.
I ain't getting on
So-
TikTok.
Who did the vocals for International Superheroes of Hardcore? It wasn't Jordan, was it?
No, Jordan switched with Chad. So
Okay,
Chad
did
goes
it.
back. Yep.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah. So he's going back to his Shai Hulud days, which we didn't even talk about, kind of side projects and stuff like that. But originally, Newfound was the side project for Chad, who was doing Shai Hulud at the time.
Makes
Like he
sense.
wasn't taking it as serious. So
Both are amazing. So I listen to Captain Straight Edge all the time, and my son does because in the breakdown he goes, "Yeah, boy."
Yeah.
And my son does it every time. It's perfect. I love it.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
So what's your favorite album then?
Six and
Are
Stone.
you guys all gonna say Sticks and Stones, or does it change?
It might be the self-titled for me.
Okay.
Just because that was the nostalgia one for me. Hit or Miss is the song that is like it is my childhood.
Yeah.
That song is my childhood. So I
Not
love
even
the
my
stuff.
favorite song off that album.
Sure, I mean that's probably true, but
Vegas,
that's the
dude.
song that's definitely the most impactful for
Yeah.
me. But Sticks and Stones, I mean,
So Sticks and Stones is my most nostalgic, but Not Without a Fight's my favorite, which is funny because I guess they hate that album. So whatever, you know.
and it might just be Chad, right? I mean, Chad is the article that I was reading. Maybe the other guys like it more, but yeah. No, I'm right there with you. Like those three are probably my favorite. Sticks and Stones, self-titled, and Not Without a Fight are probably my top three albums in there. So,
Dope. Yeah.
well, sweet man. That is Newfound Glory, and I think that most of the people who listen to this probably enjoy Newfound Glory. If you don't, tell us why. I'm gonna
Don't
guess
follow
it's
us. We
because
don't
of
like you.
vocal. Yeah, the last video I
Go
just
listen to Pierce the
posted,
Veil or something. Get out of here.
Go
last
back to
video I posted is Josh swinging through a Zabulba pit in a Newfound Glory hoodie. So
your Slayer pit.
Exactly. Go do the stupid rowing thing, you know.
Yeah,
dude, we
go
gotta,
see him on Marth.
we gotta be done with
Go
that.
row with
So,
everybody.
well,
Go
sweet.
row your bro.
Is that the new term for it?
Yeah.
No longer called
What are we
skiing,
doing?
It's called
It's not
rowing.
skiing anymore. It's called rowing your bro.
No, it's a Dutch rudder.
Oh my gosh.
I have to. Do you know what a Dutch rudder is?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know what a Dutch rudder is?
No,
Oh man.
I don't know
Well,
if I
like-
need to. Though.
I'll tell you after.
All right. Okay. Well, I think next week we might be going back to locals, but if not, it's Kyle's turn.
I think it's Josh, isn't it?
Josh's
'Cause I
turn.
did Hot Water Music,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
and Josh ditched us because he doesn't like him.
No,
It's really
I ditched him
embarrassing.
because I don't like my life.
Do you have an idea, Josh, of who you want to pick if we do that?
I feel like I did. I usually just go off who I've been listening to the most last.
Yeah, what have you been listening to? It's been a few
Amon
weeks.
Amarth, dude. It's been rolling bones, dude.
Let's do
You don't
On
have to
Broken
listen.
Wings.
Ooh,
Right.
that's a good
Good
one.
one. Yeah.
I'm down for
The
that.
Wild Man.
That was one of the first actual like hardcore albums I bought was on Broken Wings. So
Have you listened to their newest record?
I don't know.
Because this one got released. Well, I shouldn't say new. It's newer, but it's in 2016. I think it's their last record. But before that, I mean, everything was back in 2005. Dude, just listen to. So the album's called Disintegrator. Quicksand Breathes. Dude, it's so heavy. I crank it up in my headphones, and I feel like I'm going to fight everybody in the gym.
Okay. Yeah, the one that I used to listen to a ton is It's All Long Goodbye. That was the album that I picked up, which incredible album. So
I love
I'm
that
excited
song.
for
I
this.
do my crossword puzzles in pen.
Yeah,
Dude,
sick.
still
Okay.
still gives me
You guys
that.
are gonna hate me, but I don't know much about him.
I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know much about them, but I had a couple of their albums. So
Oh, yeah.
You might like the newer record. I don't know if you. I don't think this is music you would have been into at the time when it came out. So it was.
What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know.
you know what it
You
means.
sound like I was listening to Breaking Benjamin.
You were Rome Bros.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are my bros, so I don't know what that says.
Circle row. All right. Well, we're done. So
we might be
Oh,
done
bro.
forever. So nice talking to you guys.
All right, go row, bro. See ya.
Row. Okay, bye.
Row, row, row your boat.